Before we head into the weekend, let's join up with each other to take a look at your top stories making headlines in Israel. If you are wondering where you are at the Israel Brief. I'm Rolene Marks, host of the Israel Brief, and we bring you those top stories making headlines from Israel. We do it every Monday to Thursday. Today is day 356, which means that for 356 days, 101 hostages have been held in Hamas captivity. Israel is currently engaged in a war on our southern front with Hamas, on our northern front with Hezbollah, and we are fighting on multiple other fronts as well, as attacks come in from Iraq, Syria, the Houthis in the south, as well as from the West Bank, and of course in the global stage of public opinion. So for everybody who has joined us from Australia to Norway, from Northern Ireland to the United States, from South Africa to Mauritius and everywhere in between, thank you for being a part of our community. Thank you for your messages. Every single day I read every single one, and for your prayers. It is so appreciated. You are our spiritual iron dome. You are our strength. So let's take a look at those top stories making headlines. And we go straight to the north. And is Israel preparing for a ground offensive? This looks highly likely, as the IDF called up several battalions yesterday. The IDF Ramatkal, or Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi, said that we will be preparing the maneuvers. So what basically he means by this is that the firepower that we have seen striking massive amounts of Hezbollah targets, and I stress, they are striking Hezbollah targets. Israel is not attacking Lebanon. We are striking Hezbollah targets in the south of Lebanon and in the Bekaa Valley. He said that very soon your boots will feel enemy territory, and that the firepower from the skies is preparing the ground for maneuvers. Now, what is the intention of this? The intention of this is to push Hezbollah back past the Litani River over the blue line, in accordance with UN Resolution 1701. You hear me repeating this again and again and again, because since 2006, UN Resolution 1701 has been agreed to, and Hezbollah are in clear violation of this by coming south of the Litani and onto Israel's border. And we also hold the state of Lebanon responsible for not ensuring that 1701 is implemented, as well as the United Nations. The United Nations, it is incumbent on them and their UNIFIL troops in the south of Lebanon to make sure that Hezbollah adheres to the terms and conditions of this resolution, which says they must disarm and they must stay north of the blue line of the Litani. Israel has struck today 280 targets across the targeted area, including a bridge between Syria and Lebanon used to transport weapons from from Iran through Syria and into Lebanon to arm Hezbollah. This morning, Hezbollah have fired at least 45 rockets just towards the port city of Akko. It's the ancient city of Akko. If you're familiar with your history, you'll know that it has a Crusader fortress and a really beautiful bay. It is also a city of coexistence between Jews and Arabs, and Hezbollah have fired 45 rockets just there. This is excluding the other parts of the north that they have fired towards. In his address to troops last night, Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi also said that Hezbollah is widening their attack zone following the launch of a rocket towards Tel Aviv yesterday, aimed at hitting the Mossad headquarters in Glilot, and he says they will feel our response soon. Now, the United States and France have been trying, along with other European leaders and Arab leaders, to broker a 21-day truce A short while ago, Associated Press broadcast that the Lebanese president has agreed to the terms of this truce. However, Israel has not. Prime Minister Netanyahu says that, any reports of Israel agreeing to a truce are false. He also stressed that any of these types of messages will come from his office and his office alone. Now, the reason that we believe that Israel has refused a truce so far is because Hezbollah have tied a 21-day truce to a ceasefire agreement in Gaza. And because we have a situation there where Hamas continues to refuse a ceasefire, Israel will not agree to trying to tie the two together. So where we stand at the moment, we have the US and France trying to untie the two conflicts or the two wars, because for Hezbollah, their attacks on Israel, they say, are tied to a war with Hamas following the atrocities and the massacres of the 7th of October. So it is a very, very complicated situation, as you can well understand. And again, I want to stress to everybody, because there is this perception in the mainstream media that Israel is just attacking Lebanon for some unknown reason. No. Since the 8th of October, Hezbollah have been firing, now we know, well over 9,000 rockets and drones towards Israeli communities in the north of the country. Since the 8th of October, over 63,000 Israelis have been forced to flee their homes, what's left of their homes. Many will have no homes to return to. So this is the situation. It is the most underreported world event until, of course, Israel turns up the pressure. So yesterday when I said to you all, this is why the Israel brief exists, and yes, we've existed for longer than 356 days, but the reason we exist is because the mainstream media does not bring you Israel's narrative, Israel's side of the story, and warts and all, we are going to bring you all of it. Now we turn to the southernmost part of the country, the city of Eilat. Last night, Iraq's Islamic resistance group claimed responsibility for firing a drone towards the port in the city of Eilat. It caused some damage to buildings inside the port and injured 2 civilians. And I'm going to warn you that a little bit of a trigger warning is coming up. The families of the 6 executed hostages have penned an article for Time magazine. I encourage you all to read it. It is very, very distressing to read, and I'm going to speak a little bit about it. So if you are easily triggered or are very, very sensitive, please understand that you might want to forward the next minute or two. The families of Almog Serusi, Ori Danino, Alexander Lubanov, Hirsch Pauline Goldberg, Carmel Gutt, and Eden Yerushalmi have written this article for Time magazine. I really encourage you all to read it. All you have to do is Google families of hostages, Time magazine, and the word act. They speak about how the bodies of their loved ones who were murdered just days before the IDF had a chance to rescue them were riddled with bullets in the head, in the shoulders, in the hands, and other parts of the body. The body showed signs of abuse and severe malnutrition. They speak about how their loved ones were emaciated. We know that Eden Yerushalmi's sister spoke about her weighing just 36 kilograms at the time that her remains were recovered. We have also heard that well over 6 foot tall Ori Danino weighed just 119 pounds, and Hirsch, who was about the same height, a little less than that. This goes to show the horrific conditions that they were held in. They were held in a tunnel just over 5 foot tall, 2 foot wide, with no ablutions, no air, no windows. They couldn't even sleep next to each other. They had to sleep in a line. These are the conditions. And they spoke about how they toured the world for 329 days, speaking to world leaders, people of influence, people from industry, to please help them. And how they were assured we will do everything we can, but that help never came. That action never came. They speak about how it's dumbfounding that religious leaders, political leaders across the sphere, across all religions, did not stand together on the global stage and demand the immediate release of the hostages. They speak about how the hostages from over 20 countries represent a multitude of faiths: Muslim, Hindu, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, and atheist, and how nobody spoke out. They also speak out very interestingly about meeting celebrities behind closed doors and how the celebrities appeal to them, please don't make it public, I don't want to lose followers. And it's devastating. These are families who will never see their 6 loved ones who are now lost forever, who were robbed of their lives. Carmel Gat was stolen from Kibbutz Be'eri when she was visiting her parents for the weekend. And Hirsch, Ori, Alex, Almog, and Eden were taken from the Nova Music Festival, where all they went to do was to dance for peace. And for me, it exposes a chasm, a sickness in our society, that are we so hell-bent on followers and influencing that we have lost touch with doing the right thing. In their final missive to world leaders and to people of influence, the 6 families appeal to them to act. They say they have lost their loved ones, but for 101 other families, they want their loved ones. We know some are no longer with us, but they deserve to be brought home to rest in peace, and those that are still alive deserve to be brought home to their families to start the recovery process. We want them home now. Every single day, I count down the days, I wear my yellow pin. And I'm asking you, the faithful watchers of the Israel Brief, our incredible community who surround us here with your prayers and your words, to continue to do so, to help us to continue to speak on behalf of the 101 hostages whose voices are either silenced forever or are now mute. Let's join those families in speaking out and raising awareness about the plight of our hostages. We will do the right thing, followers or not. Excuse me. And finally, let's end on a positive note. And as you know, it's the United Nations General Assembly that's well underway. Prime Minister Netanyahu, along with his wife Sarah, and the families of hostages and various other Israeli officials departed for the UN early this morning. The Prime Minister is expected to speak either tonight or during tomorrow. But it was 2 presidents who really spoke with the utmost moral clarity yesterday: the President of Argentina and the President of Paraguay. So first, let me read you some comments from President Milieu of Argentina. He says, "In this same house, we that purport to defend human rights, we have also included bloody dictators in the Human Rights Council, including Cuba and Venezuela without reproach. In this same house, which purports to defend the rights of women, we've allowed on the CEDAW committee countries that punish their women just for showing their skin." And I think by that he's referring to Iran. "And in this same house has voted against the state of Israel, which is the only country in the Middle East to defend liberal democracy." And he went on to criticize the organization that has moved from its original mandate of peace and security to one of extreme bias and giving a tailwind to dictators. The president of Paraguay spoke and he said, "Our relationship with Israel is based on the solid pillars of hope and faith." He says, "We stand firmly with the state of Israel following the attack by Hamas." He says, "And we demand that the attempts to draw a moral equivalence between a terrorist organization and a democratic sovereign state be ended. So we applaud and we say gracias to those two presidents for showing absolute moral clarity. And now it is time for your favorite part of the show, which is audience participation time with your questions. So we have not one, not two, but 3 questions today. I love you guys. You keep me on my toes. And I want to thank you for your positive response to me explaining yesterday's answer to the question of why we don't show the Palestinian side. And again, I want to reiterate, it's not that we are immune to it or don't care. We care very, very deeply about our Palestinian neighbors. And I appreciate that you holding the space for me to explain to you why we feel it's so important to give the Israeli narrative and to create the space for the Israeli narrative. And I want to thank you because we want to keep it real here. We want to keep it, dare I say, as authentic as possible. So we thank you all for understanding. So the first question comes from Vanessa White, who says, you know, as we approach the Jewish high holy days, which start next week with the Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and we also approach the anniversary of the 7th of October, she is very concerned that our enemies could use this as an opportunity to launch attacks. And that is a very important question, and it's an important question that has been reiterated by several people. And you can be sure, Vanessa and the others who've asked it, that Israel will continue to be on high alert. We know the enemy that we are dealing with, who attacked us on Simchat Torah, a Jewish holy day. Last year it was also the Sabbath, and we learn from our history and our mistakes. And I'm sure that our army, our security forces will be on extra high alert as we approach the next couple of weeks. And of course, that very, very ominous and devastating anniversary. The next 2 questions come from somebody in Johannesburg who has asked me to keep them anonymous. She says, I have 2 questions. The one is, with all the operations of the IDF in the Gaza Strip, you'd have assumed they've found and destroyed all the rockets and weapons that have been bombarding Israel's south for so long. Yet it still seems to be continuing. Why is this so? Well, it's continuing because, unfortunately, even though we've pretty much decimated Hamas and the other terror entities, it is believed we're never going to be totally rid of rockets. That we will continue to have these rockets, at least this time, more short range, for as long as they take. You know, they manufacture them in there, but what we have done is we have seriously retarded or dismantled Hamas's military capabilities. You know, we haven't destroyed Hamas. We don't think that's possible, but we have seriously crippled and dismantled their capabilities. And right now, what we see inside the Gaza Strip are counterinsurgency type raids to try and prevent Hamas from rearming again. The second question from this person is a much more sensitive question, and I understand how much harder it would be to answer. Do you in Israel believe the rest of the hostages, including the beautiful Bibas family, Ariel and little Kfir, and their parents, are still alive? Well, we hope they're still alive. We really do. The last that we heard was Hamas trying to use psychological warfare, saying that they had been killed in an Israeli airstrike, but there's no intelligence and no evidence to prove that. So we assume that they are still alive. We hope that they are still alive. I don't think that there is a person with a conscience across the world who is not devastated at the sight of those 2 beautiful copper-haired little boys, little baby Kfir, who is now well over a year and a half. We see that picture of him with his gummy, toothless smile that just shoots you straight in the heart. And our prayers are that his beautiful mother, Shiri, father, Yarden, older brother, Ariel, who loves Batman, and baby Kfir, along with all those that we still believe to be alive, are still alive. We hope and we pray for that every single day. So those are our headlines as we head into the weekend. But guys, please don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. I'm so proud to announce that today is our 6th birthday. So happy birthday to us. Send us virtual cake, especially the kind that does not make me put on any weight. Our Facebook page is at Lottle Site. Our YouTube channel is right at the Israel Brief. If you like our content, please click on that red subscribe button. We are on X at Lay of the Land 5, on my Instagram at Rolene_Marks, and on my LinkedIn at Rolene Marks. Guys, God bless you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I will see you again on Monday. Bye for now.